Welcome, everybody, to the Wellness Founders Podcast, where we explore the business of wellness and the people creating the future of well-being. Today, I have Ari Tulla, the CEO and co-founder of Elo Health, a smart nutrition company that's transforming food from the leading cause of disease into medicine that's using personalized nutrition, AI, at-home testing, something that's very interesting to me. But Ari, you're also a board member of Luminary Vitamins and Primary Health. You're an advisor and a mentor, an angel investor with a portfolio of over 50 startups, including Virtua Health, Verge Motorcycles, AlphaSense, Aura. I was trying to go through all your background. I think we could sit here and probably spend half the podcast talking about all the amazing things that you've done. But I think what was really interesting to me was there was maybe some family health struggles that you went through that led to you dedicating your life to building companies that help people live better, which is something that we can really get behind here on Wellness Founders. So Ari, welcome to the show. Thanks for being here.
Hey, thank you. Great to be here.
In a recent post that you had mentioned that we spend approximately $1.5 trillion per year on hospital and acute care, and only about $100 billion goes to public health and prevention. So there's a 15-to-1 ratio there of investment that we're spending a lot more on repairing health than preventing disease. And in that, we're kind of building the systems that treat the sickness rather than focusing on the prevention. And you're someone that has built and been part of different companies that are seemingly more focused on the prevention piece, right? And there's this massive opportunity and responsibility. So I'm curious, with that, how is it that you landed on Elo Health and like what you guys are building there as your main focus to solve this massive problem?
Yeah, thank you. I mean, it's a really good point about the fact that we spend about 5 trillion altogether, 5,000 billion in healthcare, and only a fraction of that, like 2%, is going to go into prevention. And mainly we spend it in, let's say, mammographies or vaccination and few tests we do for a lot of people, like colonoscopies. Very few of that goes to really like helping people before they get sick or before they are too old. And that is really, I think, the flaw of the system, how we build it. In healthcare, it's a lot about how the money moves. That's why I like to talk about that a lot. It's kind of boring. But the point is that, you are getting paid if you do people things like give them a procedure, give them medication and so forth. That's why we get paid. And that happens often when we diagnose somebody and there's an issue. You have, too high cholesterol. We're going to give you medicine. You have too high blood sugar. We're going to give you medicine. That's kind of the normal way to think about it. And we really have never had a system with incentives about how do we actually help people get healthier or avoid getting sick. We can talk about that more today. But why I do what I do is basically I had a health struggle that lasted for a long time with my wife. My wife had a thyroid tumor 25 years ago. It's taken out. She was a young, healthy, athletic woman, and she went through the operations, all good. But then she ended up this sort of hormonal imbalances and challenges that are very difficult to kind of this unknowns that we didn't know what to do. And then we got the verdict we can never have a family. And that sucks when you find your love of your life. And, of course, at some point you want to have a family. We didn't think about it as at 20s. But then later, it became a top of mind issue. And we spent about a decade of trying to heal her body with Western medicine. And then in the end, Eastern medicine and food and nutrition really helped her to lower inflammation, get her body back on track. And now we have 2 wonderful kids who are 10 and 7 years old. So that was a big moment for us because, we had like this goal in life. You want to have a family, and then we couldn't do it without, taking the matter in our own hands. And I became a fervent believer that, nutrition has an impact in health, bigger than we may think. And that's why we do invest in the space. We built companies in the space and we made it kind of life mission because, you go in life. That's very important. And Elo to me it's kind of story about this idea that, food is medicine. It was medicine for us. That's what we're family. So could we do something about that? And we've been kind of going around different, nooks and crannies over the last 5 years to find out a way how to make it work, how to make food into medicine. And we are still very early, but it's been a fun learning so far.
But that mission of making food medicine, was that something that was already a mission that you had before? And it seems like this mission that you have to make people's lives better was something you were already doing. You know, you're already part of some of these companies that were doing that. So was there like a shift in what the mission was for you personally at that
Yeah,
point?
yeah. So yeah, so this is I mean, like I think we all know that life is complicated, and we all live here for a certain time, and we have to tell ourselves that the life you live has a meaning. And sometimes it's a lie that we have to tell to ourselves. You try to make them not like obvious lies, at least. So for me, it really changed in about 15 years ago. We got pregnant after a long time trying, 10 years, and we had really bad luck that our son died. And that was a moment for me that like we spent 10 years on trying to get here, and then somebody takes it away. And that was, of course, one of the hardest things you can have as a parent, see your child go. And I think for us both, that was a moment that we got a lot of clarity in our life. Like I was building, tech companies, I was building video games, for example. We were doing really well, but I really wanted to do something different. So I decided that I want to move and do something in healthcare, because this has been a top of mind problem for us. We spent all our time thinking about it, but we did work different field. And my wife went from, business to become working with Marie Kondo and doing KonMari consulting, helping people to get rid of the stuff that they own, like working with people one-on-one, and like getting much more meaning in her life via that. And that when we also we sold our possessions, we built a small fund, we started to invest. So big, like almost like, sell everything and, burn the boats and do something else type of moment in our life. And I don't regret it at all. I mean, it's been really, really great 15-year run. And, our first company was about finding doctors. We built one of the bigger doctor finder companies, help people find care. And then we had two ideas 15 years ago. We had the doctor finding company, and then we had an idea about like a food as medicine company. And it felt too early at that point. So I took that old idea back from the envelope or from the self and started to build it 5 years ago, just before COVID.
When you're evaluating ideas like that for viability and you're saying, oh, it's too early for this. And now you're like, okay, now it's not too early, it's time. Like, what were the factors for you that you were seeing?
I think you never know. I mean, it's really hard when you have a business idea. And I mean, I'm an entrepreneur. That's how I describe myself. I build companies, and I love doing it. And I'm quite good at the beginning. I've been involved in 6 business ground up myself. I've been involved 50 to 70 other ones in the very beginning. So I've seen the movie quite a few times. And for me, it really boils down to a couple of things. First of all, if you look in the mirror, before you start, you have to ask yourself, am I willing to do this stuff for 10 years? And am I willing to do it when I know it will be very difficult? Like some people say, it's like, eating glass. I mean, building companies, or, sometimes feels like you are in a cold shower and, you're ripping $100 bills. It's not really fun. Like that's what it is. But at the good days, it's really rewarding. And on any given day, I think you have more control of your life than almost anyone you know. As a CEO founder, if I can't dictate my own calendar, I mean, then I do something wrong. I can't complain that my boss is like annoying because I'm the boss. So that's, I think, beauty about it. But I think, evaluating a business, first thing is like, is the person building something committed enough? Are you committed enough to do this for 10 years? If you answer yes, 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 many weeks in a row, go for it and do it. And then the question is, are you building something that is attacking a big enough problem? It could be market size, but I think the problem is a good idea. Think about it. Is there a real problem people have that you try to solve? And then is the market big enough? Is the world moving in your direction early enough? I've been like, out of 6 companies I've been involved, I've been early for 3 times. I mean, way too early. And those were really hard to make work, because it's kind of like I'm a surfer, so I'm going to surf after this, and the waves look pretty good. But on a summer day when there's no wind, there's no waves, I can go there and paddle really hard, but I won't get the wave because there's no waves. And on a good day, I go there. You paddle one time and you get a wave. That's what it is like today. Think about if you're building AI. You just expose it on LinkedIn and people send money to my account. That's how easy it would be. When I built something different that people don't care about that moment, it's different. And for Elo, I think we were maybe 3 years too early. We built kind of this idea, the blood testing, coaching, personalized supplements. And we were really early, we were hard time, like, what is this? Is this like Star Trek? We did like 3D printed gummy vitamins. What the hell? What is that? And now it's hot. But, the beginning was really brutally hard for us. It was like almost impossible. Nobody cared.
And is that the reason for the change in the business? So from B2C to B2B, right? That was a shift that you guys made. I don't know the time. I don't remember the time frame that you mentioned for that, but was that the reason? Is because he was like, oh, we're too early. Maybe we need to shift the messaging. We need to go to B2B, or were there other reasons that happened?
It was by design. I mean, like we had a plan early on that we like anything you built, you kind of have to validate it to yourself and also to the market and customers. And if you have nothing done, it's very hard to go and sell it to companies. Like, why would I buy you? Like, I mean, what is this? Give me some data. So you had to build the data first. So it's been about 3 years, and 10,000 people were using our platform, testing blood, getting treatment, testing the blood again, and that was helping us to build a database and validation that we can actually make an impact in people's health. And now we've been taking this data into the companies and telling them, hey, we can help you. Like if you are a wearable device or you are Peloton or you are, let's say, whatever, we could help you to build a personalized nutrition layer that your customers can use. And then 1+1 being, let's say, exercise, and one other being, nutrition, together can be more than two. The benefit, like, if you think a tonal, you do weightlifting with a tonal device, and then you see the results. Then you do the weightlifting, you get the protein, you get more results. That's a simple idea what we try to do. We mainly focus now in the medical use cases. Think about like fertility. Think about weight loss with Ozempic or GLP-1s, and also stress management, sleep. Those are kind of the things you can measure. You can measure sleep every day with your Oura Ring or your Whoop or your Apple Watch. You can measure your weight with the scale. And we know that it works if you take a drug like Ozempic, for example. You're going to lose weight, but then you may have side effects. Could we help you alleviate those? Could we alleviate you not losing muscle mass? So, but for us, it was a conscious decision in the beginning. And last 3 companies I've been involved, we basically did the same thing. We went from the T2C to B2B at some point, and that became the real business.
And how have these companies been responding to this new messaging? And maybe you could take me through also how that messaging changed. What was the process of you guys changing that to go from B2C to B2B, just from a
It's
mechanical standpoint?
Yeah, I think I think you think about a paper. It's 2 sides of the paper. I mean, like nothing really equivalent. Of course, your products might be the same, but the story you are telling. I mean, when I tell the story to you, it would be okay. You live in a certain part of the world. Maybe you have dark in the winter. You don't get enough vitamin D. I know your vitamin D will be low. Let me test the vitamin D and show you that's low, and then you give vitamin D and so it can go up. I found these loops where I can help you to fix the issue that I know you have, and I can validate it by showing you the data on the plot. Other one, we have a sleep gummies. We are still selling in Amazon, for example. You can take a sleep gummy at night before you go sleep. You can have your Oura Ring, and you can improve your sleep score by doing it. In most cases, it will improve. So that really concrete thing, you see 3 nights in a row that you actually have a higher score, you become a believer, and then you become a customer. For the business, it's more about, okay, can I validate, like, let's say, 10 different doctors and tell them that, hey, here's a hypothesis. It's based on your own research. And then we can do this thing and we can get better outcomes. And sometimes these are more complicated, like having a baby. You can't track that, by every night by ring. It's much more complicated. So it will take, up to, 18 months to have a baby if you think about IVF, for example. So those are more complicated, but you kind of have to completely skin the company again. You have a different way to go to market. You go to market by talking to 20 people, not talking to 100,000 people with Facebook ads or TikTok ads.
And what do you think for you has been most important during that change as a leader to be focused on, versus like, your team, and what are they focused on? I mean, obviously there's different people on your team, but I always get curious about people that are leading and founding these types of companies, how they stay focused on what's most important and what's most important for you.
Yeah,
during
I
that
think
change?
yes, I think it's a good point because a lot of people, and in healthcare especially, people are thinking about B2B. Like we have a hard time going and growing because the CAC is too high, the retention is too low. We hit the plateau. We have thousands of customers, but we can't go higher. We are losing more customers than we get. So that's a really, I think, common problem. And then they think like, what about B2B? Could we become and go sell to employers, or could we sell to health plans, or could we sell to whatever it is, or could we partner and do it differently? And in our case, we are mainly now partnering. We use the idea of like, we can work with another company and build them a new product. So we white label, for example, today, our nutrition products. Um, and what is the difference of execution? When I'm running a company, our focus is to go from 100 users to 1,000 users who are actively buying our product. What it takes, we know we have a conversion rate of 1 or 2%. So we can calculate, we need to get this many people on the website. We need to convert a certain number of them. Then we need to make sure they're right kind of people, they get happy with the product and they buy it again. That's pretty simple machine that you build. And you can track everything from the ad spend, all the traffic you get, social, and then you look at the website, optimize the conversion rate. Then when the people get the product, you optimize the product. That's like the loop you do. And there's like maybe 10 different loops in a company, and we all do the same if we do D2C. B2B, you go to a market, let's say, let's take an example like blood testing. Like I'm now talking to quite a few of these people. Many more people do blood testing today with companies like Function Health, Superpower, Aura, Whoop, name many others. And that blood test is really valuable. I know my numbers are low, my numbers are high, whatever. And then that data can then yield a lot of learning. I should go and basically take these supplements, start sleeping better, take this medication, and so forth. And those companies, I think, all will build a supplement store of some type or nutrition store into their system. So when I talk to them, I don't have millions of people out there. I maybe have 5 companies I'm talking. So it's all about the quality of the presentation. Like, can I go meet the right people at the right time so they actually have a need for buying this? And then I actually are able to get the pilot. Maybe I get a deal done. And then I implement it over time. So it can take up to 2 years. But I don't have ability to fail at any point. So when we have a deal done, we have to execute flawlessly every day. We can't, like, if you build your own thing, it doesn't really matter if your Shopify website retargeting pixels are not correct. That's fine. Like, one day doesn't matter. But if you have something going wrong with the rollout with the B2B customer, the deal could die out of one mistake. So that to me is the biggest difference that, executing a D2C company is this sort of a everyday race to optimize. Doing a B2B is much longer horizon and also much higher fidelity on the work you do as a company.
Yeah, so higher stakes, but also a higher reward if you can get the contract. Now, in your circumstance, I imagine you've built a lot of relationships in this industry based on a lot of the advising, the mentoring, the investing. Has that been the way that you've reached some of these B2B partners? Has just been through your network and relationships, or how do you navigate that? Where you're like, okay, we're doing this switch. I'm gonna look in my phone and see who I got to talk to, or is it asking for introductions? Is it cold? I imagine maybe less of that, but how is it that you're doing that?
Great question. And I think this is, the difference if you think about as a founder. Okay, you come from a field of let's say you've been working for Equinox for 5 years or 10 years. So you know a lot about that field. You know a lot of people in that field. So you have a massive upper hand to build something for that crowd because you know that they trust you already. And of course, having been in the industry now for some time and have been, even investors of this company, it really helps a lot to get the meeting. I may not know the right person. I may know the CEO. May know the board members, but I may not know the right person I need to talk to. But I can probably get the meeting. So that's a big benefit. And I maybe have a sort of an idea in my head who may need these services when. And that's important for our strategy, like where do we focus any given time. And I think, the last point in it is that you kind of have ability as a founder, ability as a CEO to make a much bigger impact in B2B. I can yield the first 5 deals myself. I don't need the sales team behind me. I can probably do it together with my team and execute them. In the D2C, no matter who I am, if I'm not like Kardashian or somebody with millions of followers, I can find 1,000 people today. Any product you give me, I can find 1,000 people, but I can't find 10,000. So I can't will a company to work myself. It's impossible. I need to build a really good systematic system around it. I can probably will a B2B company to get to 10 million revenue in any field, because if I know the people, the right field. But that's, I think, a big difference. But if you come from the T2C, then don't go to B2B and think it's easy. If you're in the B2B, you know you're going to have a unique advantage in a certain field that you already have been for a while.
And so that's been your unique advantage, obviously. Now, when you're coming up with messaging for these people to get that meeting, and this is a little bit meta or detailed, but I'm curious, probably depends on the relationship that you have, but what's the messaging that you're sending in those notes or texts or emails to get that meeting? It's just what I get curious of is how much of it is just dependent on the relationship versus how much are you really leaning into the value proposition and the messaging of like why it's so important? Because there's probably a line there somewhere in the middle where you can rely more on the relationship to just get the meeting versus I still got to have a really good value proposition.
Yeah. So I think now we go into the real topic, which is important, which is selling. And I mean, getting a meeting is often hard. Getting a meeting is necessity. But then when you get the meeting, it's all about how do you handle the moment. I mean, only way to sell something in P2P is to solution together with other person. You are not telling them what to do. You are guiding them very gently into the right place. And you have to accept the fact that if they are not thinking about doing something that you are selling right that moment, you will likely not get the deal done. Even if you get the management to maybe agree on that it's a good idea, it will then become a small pilot somewhere inside of the company, and it won't lead anything if there's really no strategic intent for that year. So I often tell people, like, if you are selling something and it's not in a roadmap of the bigger company, good luck. You make it a pilot, but you won't get anything big done. So think about, in a way, like, we are together here. We are more like together brainstorming, like, okay, you may have an issue. Let's say you do a podcast. How do you get, the 50 next people into your podcast? How do you get the next 1,000 people to listen to your podcast? Like, we could talk about it together and find some ideas. But if I'm selling you something, then we find out, oh, it would be great to do this and that. And then, hey, by the way, I have a solution for that. That is the right way, that you come up with an idea almost, and then I happen to have the right widget to solve your problem. And in this case, in our Elo, for example, what is the problem that the bigger companies have? It's easy. I have 100 million revenue. I have a million customers. My ARPU is X. I don't know how to make it bigger. I can't grow the revenue pool of my current customers. I know they buy a lot of supplements, for example, today. I make no revenue on that. I may even recommend them what to buy. I maybe get an affiliate fee of that. And I go there and what if we build your own brand of supplements and make them really cool and modern and exciting? It can elevate your brand value. It can double your ARPU. And then you're like, oh, hey, I like that. I can double my ARPU. I can double my revenue. I can double my profit. Those are really good points. And people will listen. But I can't mandate them to buy it if they don't have it in the roadmap and they haven't already agreed to do it. So that's why I talk to a ton of people, and I'm very casual about it. And I don't push them a message. I'm just trying to talk with them, solution with them, find a solution together, and have the right time. I need to be there in the right time. They need to think me when they plan to do it once in a while, and they're going to talk to 5 other people. And then I need to win that deal. But I can't push them to do it if they don't.
And you talked about the timing a few times there, which is a very important factor. How do you know that the timing is right with them prior to reaching out? Is there a signal that you're looking at specifically? Is there a way that you can understand what a roadmap might be for a company, even if it's a private company and there's not public statements about where they're going?
Yep. Great question. So I think we have so much data in our hands today, and you can use AI, LLMs to brainstorm these ideas, and the LLMs are unbelievably good. You can use the Gemini deep research, and you can ask about can you research this area, this category, and who are the companies who are implementing something or have some hints of doing it? That have they talked about it publicly? Have they done a pilot? Have they tested something? Have they said something? The LLM will find that likely. So what happens? Let's take an example, like that I think we all love today. All the wearable devices, like Apple Watch is the king of the health. They're the 500 or 10,000 pound gorilla now. They own 90%, 95% of the revenue. Then you have like the Oura Ring, the Whoop. You have Ultra Human. There's many other ones that are now out there, and many more popping up every day. Okay, so what's happening? Like Oura, I think, is, let's say, a leader now of the new companies in the ring form. What happened in the last few months? Oura introduced blood testing. They introduced glucose testing, or glucose sensor as part of the offering. And how can it be that then Whoop announced blood testing, I think, this week? So what's happening often is that you look at the market, you can easily pinpoint the leading player, who is the one who is like above the fray. They are leading the way, the thinking today globally. And then you see what they do. If they do something, then you can assume that all the other ones are going to do something as well. Because the markets are tending to be like lemmings. Somebody innovates something, then the other follow. And I think Apple, of course, is the leader by far on the Apple Watch today. And whatever they have done, other people have copied. And it seems so that like everybody's propagating very quickly a new idea. So to me, that's the best idea. Find the winners, and they may not be your customer because they may be too big for you. Maybe they want to buy it or build it themselves. But look at what they do and then offer what they are doing to other people quickly, and you have a great business.
And so I love the detailed approach there of like using LLMs, and that was something we talked about when we first spoke about how people are finding products today. So there's obviously like this side of using LLMs for research and for outreach, or purposes of, hey, let me see what is happening in this industry so that I know which companies might have certain initiatives. When we spoke, there was some conversation about one-click purchases, social media strategies that are also changing as LLMs change. Where do you see all this going with AI?
Let's talk about this. Is less to be more DC, but I mean, it's impacting all of us every day in our life. And I mean, I've been now building these companies for a while, so it's interesting to go back and think about what were the moments in time when you had an opportunity that was super interesting. So let's go back like 15 years. What happened then was that Google, of course, became the dominant search engine. Google invented the blue links. Google invented AdSense and the ability to pay for the ads. Massive innovation. And the first people who went to Google and bought advertising, it was like magic. Like you literally pay cents to get people to your website. And those companies, some of them are now the big companies we have today, like the billions of dollars of valued companies. They got biggest advantage. They were early on that market. And now, of course, today, every company is buying the blue links. And the price is like, I don't know, 20, 30 times higher than it used to be back in the days. Then in healthcare, where we are, and wellness, what we talk about today, you had this massive moment when the podcasting started. Tim Ferriss and Joe Rogan and a few other ones were the first podcasters. The first advertising that was done by nutrition companies, wellness companies. And it made them, like now you have, stable takes like Athletic Greens and Forest Sigmatic and other companies. They were completely built in the podcasting vertical. The podcasting price was like a couple $1,000s an ad into a podcast that may have had 1 million listeners. Today you pay $50,000 to $80,000. So it's like multitude more. And now it's very saturated. You can't really get in anymore at a good price. So you have these moments, like the Google moment lasted quite a long time. The podcast moment, maybe 5 years. And then, of course, social happened. Whoever went first to social, it was unbelievable. The advertising cost nothing on Facebook first, Instagram, then TikTok. Whoever was first on those and built the army of, influencers that were telling the story. Like think about not in wellness, but in fashion. These fast fashion companies like Zane and others, they have built like 100,000, maybe 1 million people strong sell audience that are everybody. You can be an affiliate partner and you can sell stuff there. and suddenly they amplify their word to everybody. So TikTok is filled with these companies, and they've been wildly successful. So what's now happening? We haven't at any moment in the last 5 years, maybe beyond TikTok, that you could get the advantage. But now we finally have the new commerce that's happening on the LLMs. That is going to be a massive opportunity and like be equally big, if not bigger, than the Google. Because now what we are doing, we are asking the LLM, what is the best, protein powder for me? What is the best bike for me? What are the best skis for me when I go powder skiing? It will tell me the list. And I'm only going to look at the list that it gives me. And what if you can pay to be on that list? What if you can optimize to be on that list? That is the next frontier that, will change who will win in the next 5 years.
And what's your plan as far as optimizing that? Or, obviously the option's not there yet of paying for it, but what do you see as your strategy to stay at the top?
You can't influence the giants again. They are like, it's elephant dancing. You are the small person under it. You're going to be easily crushed. So what you have to do is to understand the levers you have. One lever, of course, is technical lever. You need to make your content to be something that these new systems can learn and see. Are you in Reddit? Are you optimized for Bing? Are you using Shopify that will be linked to the LLMs automatically? Are you using the right schema on your markups on the web? And are your products available in every possible way, different place in the web? Those are really key pieces. Are you doing the content marketing, the content creation in a way that the LLMs can optimize, use your content? Super important. And then, of course, are you then able to use these new tools? Like, I don't think, us listening to this, likely we are not big enough to do it, but what is happening now at OpenAI, for example? They are integrating OpenTable, OpenTable for restaurants, Zillow for house hunting. They are integrating Hotel.com for booking. And those are the ones that they can implement because people are looking those a lot. Like, can I travel more easily? Maybe they integrate, the Stripe. If you use Stripe payment, they integrate that into there. Maybe they integrate, like I said, Shopify websites easily. But you have to basically be in those places, otherwise you will not be available in the beginning. But you can't call OpenAI and say, I want my product to be number one. Not going to work. I mean, it's more like a black box.
Well, it's very interesting to me to see where this is going to go with AI, and particularly being able to prompt maybe a multi-stage prompt of, this is the trip that I'm going on, and I want to be able to stay at a place that has a sauna and has a cold plunge, and I need the supplements for that. I need to be able to take my supplements on the road with me. So here are my supplements. Which one should I take? And you have all these different things where you're able to check out directly in an LLM, or you're able to piece together a multi-prompt that gives you all the things and then gives you all the prices and then gives you the checkouts. And it'll be interesting to see how it affects the whole wellness space, because I think there's so many different aspects of it that will be important.
And let me give you one example that, is interesting. That I was just talking to a company, and they have a really clever idea. Like, we all now have, a store on the web. And in the store, you have like PDPs, product pages, you have the cart, all these things. And often after the cart, you buy something and you check out. You do the kind of, hey, people also bought, or you buy also this, you get the discount. And, many people don't have 5 products that are relevant for that person. Like, for example, we are selling infertility, a product for, let's say, men's sperm health. I don't think we need to sell the woman's product on that moment. It may not be relevant, maybe. But now this new company basically built a system where you could get a list of, even in a card, what people also buy, not from you, but from other people. So you could actually bring in, like you said, really well, that you're buying or booking an Airbnb. You can also book a stay here and an experience there. So what if you could do the same thing in buying these products? Like, you are buying, let's say, a Peloton bike. Well, you need also the Peloton biking shoes. Maybe you don't get them from Peloton, you get them elsewhere. So you could get all these other products that are like-minded, that are not even sold by that product or that company. And to me, that's a brilliant idea, because I would love to get my products at Elo into moments when you buy the ring, Oura-ring, buy also the sleep gummies or whatever. Like, that would be really valuable. And I think that's going to happen a lot more, where companies can't have all the products that you need, but and think about like more valuable example, maybe to get your idea flowing. If you buy, let's say, you want to renovate your house,
and you're renovating your bathroom. How many things you have to buy into your bathroom, or the faucet, from the whatever, like ceiling? Well, there's so many things. What if you could go to a store and it just recommends all of them in a one package, and you get the package deal? That would be amazing. And that's what LLMs and AI can do. And I don't know if you ever renovated, but man, it takes time. It's hard.
Yeah. Not to an extreme amount, but definitely have done some work in the place that I live in Colombia that has taken some time, but nothing like crazy. Um, I want to talk about something that's maybe even a little bit further along, beyond, LLMs adding checkouts and recommended items and things like that. And that's the evolution and changing of DNA. Now, maybe something that is interesting to you as you build this company. And we talked about this as like a kind of a fringe thing that is in some movies, but is a very, is a reality of where we're going with the current evolution of AI. So tell me a little bit more about that and where you see it heading.
Well, I think let's first think about like what is interesting. Like we started the discussion today from the perspective that we don't spend enough on prevention. And we know that if we would invest, let's say half the money we spend in healthcare in keeping us healthy, we would all live 10 years longer. I mean, that's kind of cool, right? I mean, when you are 80 years old and you are dying, you would love to live 10 years older. I mean, 10 years more. You would love that. Or when you are 70 and you are starting to you can't really go out, you can't move freely anymore, you can't do things you love. You would love to, pay all your money to do more years of fun life.
Yeah, it depends on how much you're suffering, right? If you could reduce the suffering and
Totally.
make life,
And
the quality
if
of
you
life
could
better.
feel like you feel at the 40 or 50 years old, if you could feel like that for next 40 years, I mean, we're all going to put all our money there and do it. So anyway, the point is that I think we have these amazing opportunities ahead of us. I think we today as a human species, I don't think we are really evolving. Like we don't have this sort of a Darwinian life anymore. The weak will die and the strong will live. No, we're all going to live. And that's fair and that's fine. But what if we could actually start doing something more? So what AI is doing today, most people don't know this, but AI is getting really, really good in biology and healthcare, like deep research, like way better than people can be. So today, if you pick a product out there and you can diagnose a patient, the LLM will diagnose at 90% accuracy. The best doctor will be 70%. So the AI is already far better than the doctor can be in a normal diagnosis. Okay, what about then drug development? So let me tell an example that's really interesting. Most people don't know about this. I didn't even know before. I went to a longevity conference last week at the Buck Institute of Health or Aging. It's in here in California. They do like a primary research on why is human getting older? Why are we dying too young? Could we extend life? That's what they do. They've been doing it for a long time, the biggest institute in the world. And they brought in 30 companies to talk about this who are developing new drugs that are helping people live longer. There is only one drug basically available today that we can debate about, but metformin is kind of like a longevity drug. Maybe the GLP-1s, Ozempic, and these guys are kind of longevity drugs as well. But there are now 150 different drugs in the pipeline that will be coming out live in the next 15 to 20 years. The first drugs are now coming live in the next 5 years. And these are drugs that basically can make your DNA work better. They can make your, let's say, cells work better. They can make your mitochondria more healthy. They can help you create more stem cells or make your stem cells work better for you. So what it means, they can actually make you younger. Some of the drugs are now given to mice that are old, and the mice get younger. They are reversing aging in mice. I mean, we don't know if it works for humans, but these are drugs that are now in development. Nobody's talking about this because it's still 10, 15 years away. But likely it is that some of them will work, and they will actually help us. I have gray in my beard. I could take the drug, and my gray goes away, and my wrinkles go away. How cool would that be? And that's going to happen in the next 20 years. So I tell my friends now that, if you are
I mean, I
50
think
years
the
today,
gray looks good, by the way. But,
yeah, thank you. But if you're 50 today and, do all the things you can to live 20 more good years, and then you may be able to get these drugs and you may be able to live, I'm not saying you're going to live 150, but you maybe live to 100 and you get another 20 years of great life. And that's really, I think, a positive feeling that, you get when you think about it, because we all see our parents and, our grandparents and, people are dying, people die. And often they die in a way that you don't really like it. They are basically losing the mental ability because they have, dementia, they have Alzheimer's. What if we could avoid that and have like good life until 90? Would be super cool.
Yeah, and I'm wondering what the stages would be, especially maybe the controversial stages of this coming into fruition and things that maybe you could expect will happen, and like the consequence of trying to find these types of solutions might lead to what controversial things. That's my
I think there's no question, and we have. I was talking about the beauty of this thing.
Sure,
Because,
sure,
I
yeah.
mean,
Which is
but then,
what is good to focus on, because that's
totally.
what gets us there.
But if you reverse it, like, we all have heard the stories about AI. AI, what it does today, it is making our electricity more expensive. It maybe takes out jobs. It maybe poses a ultimate threat for humanity. Humanity, we could all die. We might have Terminators. Like, that's what we think, because we are ingrained by the media and the movies and all this stuff. What is AI giving us today that is concretely helping us to be better? Not a lot. It gives us a better tools and some stuff, but I think we have a massive weight on the negativity on AI today, and not that much on the good side. I believe the good will come, but it's a bit of like every tech. Like, wait a moment, the good will come. But today, I don't think normal people see it today. Same here. I think it's great to promise that, this could happen, but at the same time, there will be a massive controversy, because we're not going to only do the drugs, but we will also go and modify our DNA. And when we modify our DNA, we already can do it. We may have already done it secretly, illegally, somewhere. I wouldn't be surprised. But what if we can make us different as species? What if it changes us to be like 8 feet tall? What a great basketball player, by the way, if we are 8 feet tall. What if it make us, like be able to, hold breath for 15 minutes? Maybe we need that, maybe not. But, think about military. How many movies we have about, military doing some secret studies and making us, like superhumans? That is kind of scary, and it will likely happen. So I think there's always the negative aspect that, when we unearth and we basically decode the human biology, what are we, how are we made out of, and then we can actually rebuild it. We can do a lot more than we think today, and may not be that far. I think the AI will be able to do it. So I see that, there could be a caste society where some people live a long time and others will not. And that, I think, is unfair. And there, of course, will be also a caste society if we have some people who connect to computers and become kind of bionic humans, and then some people don't. And, if you connect to the computers, you have the kind of massive computers, and AIs help you be smarter and do better stuff, or even control the world around you differently. So those are things that will happen in next 50 to 100 years. And I mean, I hope we do them right. But I mean, humanity always makes a lot of mistakes. So
Yeah.
we will have wars and stuff will happen. I mean, no questions about it.
One other curiosity I had before we get to the last question was around the number of things that you're doing as far as an advisory and investing in mentoring, in being an active founder and CEO. I'm just curious how you split your time and how you decide something is worth investing some time or energy into, because there's no doubt the amount that you're focusing on Elo right now, that some of these projects have to take a pretty serious backseat, I would imagine, or you don't have a ton of time to give them. So how do you organize and structure your world so that you're paying attention to things that you've committed to paying attention to, but you're not overdoing it?
It's a good question. I think, I think we all would need to remind ourselves that time is the only finite resource we have. Many other things we have plenty, but time we have limited. Like I said before, we're not going to live 1,000 years at least yet. I look at my calendar here on the other screen, and everything in my calendar is color coded. I have green stuff, I have purple, I have pink, I have blue, I have yellow, I have green, and everything in my calendar is always marked based on what it is about. So my Elo time is calendared somehow, and my sales, my investing time, my family time. Usually it's like all the afternoons, evening, whatever. And then my act, like my sport. I mean, I do that every I do it because I want to have an understanding of the balance I have in my life. Every month I look at that as an aggregate. How much I spend time on here and there and there, and then I try to balance it out. Does it feel good? Is my life feeling like I'm living like I want to live life? And as I've been very like, I try to do like really coordinated attack on my time and what I do. And every time I do it, I feel less alive. There has to be a serendipity. There has to be ability to do stuff on a whim. There has to be enough free time. And lately I've had a lot more free time than I used to have before, because you run a small company, you are more free. When you run a big company, you have more people who can connect to you. If you have 1,000 employees, you're going to work very differently. But anyhow, like for me, it's been learning to find the fluidness of life. Like if there's a good waves, I need to be able to go surfing. That makes me much more happy than the fact that I have more meetings in my day, or I meet some great people, because it's cool to meet great people, go to conferences, but I mean, you don't want to do it too often. So I think it's very personal, but I highly recommend people to not look only forward, but look also back a few months and look what you have done. And are you feeling good? Are you feeling like you're content about your life? And do you have like balance in your love life and work and your own self-exploration and learning? So that's, I think, my way.
Well, it's validating to know that, because I also have a color-coded calendar, so that's great. What color is this meeting?
This meeting is blue. And this is red.
Oh, I got red. Wow. Red means what?
Red means it's related to sales, kind of self-promotion, getting
Media,
the word
yeah.
out there. Like anything
All
to do,
right.
getting the word out there is kind of in the red bucket.
Nice. Cool. Last question for you, Ari, is what's Ari's legacy in the wellness industry? What's the movement that you're going to be known for creating?
I'm still, I've been in this industry only for 5 years. If I kind of talk about wellness specifically, I think more healthcare broadly. And I don't feel like I'm a wellness guy. Maybe some people think that, but I hope that I can be involved in some of the things that will make a difference, like change the way we live our life, and more permanent. Like companies are very fickle. I just sold last company recently, and this can come and go, and then somebody else owns it and they can kill it, and you don't have to cry about it. It's not your fault anymore. So I think it's more like, can you be involved in things, and I think often people ask me about like why do you build companies, and I like building. It's really fun. I'm good at it. I like it. For most people, it's not the right thing. I mean, if you think about impact, I'm building these companies that are these ideas, and not, like very early. I invest in some very early companies. Maybe none of them ever will become anything big. None of them will ever maybe become Google or Facebook or OpenAI. But then I look at other people, my friends who work in those companies. They went to Google, then they went to Facebook. Now they're at OpenAI, and I think they probably have more impact by their work than maybe I had. Maybe I'm more notorious because I've been building this. I'm the kind of the lightning rod in my company, so I'm more visible. But those guys are maybe behind the scenes, and they've done some amazing things that they have done. So I don't know like what the legacy is. Of course, you can think about like what are you gonna write on the tombstone in the end. But I don't think you should think about that too much in when you're like living. And we talked about this with my wife yesterday. It's actually really funny. I don't know what bring her up, but it's a really good point that we talked about. So the idea was that if you find meaning of your life too early, then life becomes meaningless. I don't know if that's true, but my wife kind of has found her meaning of life, like pretty early. And the point is like, is life then less meaningful when you know the meaning of life already? Maybe you achieved the point. And so I think it's always a second mountain, like a second thing that you can look after it. And the game never ends until you are underground.
And so in that circumstance, what you're saying is, if you know the meaning, then it crushes the purpose of trying to find the meaning of life.
Well, I think isn't in a way that the meaning of life is not to find the meaning of life too early. Because you kind of need to have a goal, and
Yeah.
I mean, we need aspiration.
Sure.
Like I don't think we have any idea why we are on this planet or in this universe. Like I don't think we have any idea. We can find different dogmas, but I don't think we know. So your answer and my answers are as good as other. answers out there.
Yeah, and I think that's part of it, right? It's like if you can accept that maybe the meaning that you think you know is also potentially not the meaning, then you'll continue to strive with the purpose of finding more meaning.
If
Who
it's
knows?
it's maybe it's a staircase. You know,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
meaning is like, and maybe you are shadow chasing all the time. Like you never reach the shadow. I mean, that's how it is.
Well, I appreciate the philosophical end to this conversation, Ari, and all the other insights that you had. Where can people find out about your work and find out about you? What's the best place that you want to send them?
You can follow me on LinkedIn, Ari Tulla. I try to be amusing there quite a bit. And if you look at my company, is Elo Health, is elo.health. And then I also have luminaryvitamins.com, is a company that sells supplements for fertility and nutrition around having a baby.
Awesome. Well, sounds good. I appreciate you, Ari, coming on the show. Thanks so much for sharing time with me today, and wishing you the best and watching what you're going to be doing.
Cool. Thank you so much.
All right.